up your sugan chairs, my friends, close out the green half door, and we'll gather round a peat turf fire, as we did in days of yore. Aye, we're glad ye wandered in this night, for the house was quiet and still. Herself was carding sheep wool, while I my pipe did fill. And there wasn't a word between us now, you'd swear a row was on. But the memories, they were with us, of our children now all gone. To America and England, those lands across the foam. Oh, will they ever laugh and joke again in our cosy Irish home? But ye waked us from those revelries, and perhaps it's just as well, before those memories saddened us and a tear or two might swell. Why, ye happy people waked us up now, and you surely brought some news, and from my store of yarns now ye all can pick and choose. So look into the burning flames there, do you see what I can see? Dark heroes, fairy castles, and warriors fighting to be free. I see leprechauns and fairy forts, O'Sheen and Fionn McCool. Oh, I see them all so plainly from my little fireside stool. So come with me now into our past, as we speak of bygone days, when life was much more simple and we all had purer ways. Ah, there were no lounge bars or discos, no TV, no radio. Sure, 'twas all homemade entertainment in Ireland long ago. Oh, there's a bridge below the town, we'll have ye all to know. It's broken and it's tumbling to the ground, but there we used to gather every evening long ago, just sitting on the bridge below the town. Ah, we'd gather every evening, and till bedtime there we'd stop, discussing all the news that's gone around, talking politics and horses, oh, the weather and the crops, just sitting on the bridge below the town. Now for learning our schoolmaster could compare with all the rest, in the classroom not his equal could be found, but for eloquent discoursing sure he was always at his best, just sitting on the bridge below the town. Now we'd congregate there every Sunday morning after Mass, with lads in from the country all around. We'd be watching folks and smiling at the girls when they passed, just sitting on the bridge below the town. Now that's where I first met Peggy, when she smiled as she passed by. At sight I knew she'd suit me to the ground, but when she sat beside me there I thought I'd surely die, just sitting on the bridge below the town. 'Twas late one Sunday morning, no, 'twas a Sunday afternoon, when all was quiet and no one could be found. Faith, she kissed me and she promised me she'd be marrying me soon, just sitting on the bridge below the town. So we went to Father Dan and said we wanted to be wed. He looked at us and then began to frown. He asked us where we met and started laughing when we said, just sitting on the bridge below the town. But that was many years ago. Now we've children big and tall, at the dance halls and the movies they'd be found. For times are always changing and they see no fun at all, just sitting on the bridge below the town. Now there are nations that are rearming and preparing for a fight, but a settlement could easily be found, if instead of at Geneva they was meeting here this night, just sitting on the bridge below the town. Oh, 'twas a late night now, and I was out in the stable with the cow, and the cow was ready to give a calf, do you know, and it wasn't going very well at all, do you see. And I tried to help the cow to turn it so that it might turn the calf inside the cow there, no, but I couldn't get it to go. Then I saw Donald come by with his young son, Dennis, says, well, you know, and he says, what's going on here? And I told him what was going on. He said, let me have a look at it. He says, I'll be God there now. He says, the cow is turned the wrong way. The calf is turned the wrong way in the cow, you see. And we tried our best to try to turn things around there, but it wasn't working at all. And the cow went dry, and there was all sorts of problems there. Now we knew that night that Dr. Kelly be up at Cleary's pub. So we dispatched young Dennis down to the pub there, and up on the bicycle he went, and down he went, and there was Dr. Kelly, stuck up in a game of cards. I gave it 25. Abby Jays, you could hear the knuckles rapping on the mahogany and the shouts when somebody got a good hand there. And he had a bottle of malt and a jar in front of him there. Young Dunnett's come in and he says, now, we're having a problem down there at Neil Lane Hands. And you need to be coming there and giving a hand, you know. Well, Dr. Kelly was the same man that delivered Dennis. And so he said, all right, I'll be there now. And he packed up his kit and off to the motor car he had there. And off he come there, parked the car across the road by the turf pile and the donkey cart. And he come with the kit in hand and into the stable there. He looked around. And he got the old cow laying down there now. And he says, Abby Jesus, now we'll have to cut the cow open. So he went to his satchel and he opened it up there now and he took out a scalpel, your knife there now, and he cut the cow there, cut the skin with the different layers there, and it wasn't very long and the young calf come out the side of the cow. It was time then to be sewing the old cow up there now, and he looked in the kit there now and he hadn't a stitch of thread. Have you any thread in the house? I says, I don't know, but I'll go check with the missus. And I come in and I asked Nora, now I says, have you any thread? Nah, no, she says, I'm waiting for the truck to come, the lorry should be here on Wednesday. So I went back there and I says, there isn't a stitch of thread anywhere in the house. And be God there now, said Dr. Killen, he scratched his head and he looked around, and over in the corner was the old horse. And he went over to the horse there and he took the scalpel and he cut a couple of strands from the tail of the horse there and he threaded his needle there. He threaded it up there and he sewed the old cow together. And because that cow was as good that day and that day forward as any day that it ever lived before. And everything was fine. The doctor packed himself up, took the kitten back to clear as he went. Dennis and Dennis helped me clear things up a little bit more, and off they struck for home. And 'twas myself I gave it the last look around, you know. And I went over and I quenched the lamp there, 'cause it was late and it was time to go to bed. And I was walking from the stable over to the house. And that's when it come to me there and I heard the noise. And I stopped there in my tracks, you know. I stopped there now and I heard, and it sounded like it was something crying like an animal or something, you know. And I stood there now and I was wondering what it was, and I walked a little further there and I looked over by the garden gate. And I saw the form of something there now. It was something big and I wasn't sure what it was, and I walked over to it and I could see then it was an old woman. Abby got there now and she was hunkered down and her face was buried in her hands. And she was crying. Abby got there now, and the crying there would pierce your ears, I'm telling you here and I'm telling you now. Now I looked over her and I didn't know was it an old gypsy woman or a beggar or what, you know. So I blessed myself and I says, may the good Lord stand between myself and harm. And with that there now she raised her head from her hands, do you see. And she looked right at me there now and she wailed out a scream there now that I could tell you now the little hairs on the back of my neck stood straight up. And Lord have mercy there now, I blessed myself again. May the good Lord stand between myself and harm. And with that now she stood up straight. And because there now when she stood up straight on the ground, she didn't stop there at all. Up off the ground she went and she was hovering there about 3 feet or so off of the ground. And the clothes on her was billowing around, her hair was flapping around like it was in a great breeze. And I was looking there. And it looked as though I could take my hand and go right through the clothes that she had on. You know, it was that class of material. It was very, very, very thin, like you could just press your hand right through there, you know. And I saw that there now, and I blessed myself once again. May the good Lord stand between myself and harm. And with that there now, she turned in the air and went over the rail of the fence. And she went across the road and into the boglands there now, and I wanted to run into the house. But I couldn't run at all. It was as though my feet were frozen to the ground. And because there I stood there frozen, and I listened, and I watched, and I could no longer see her, but I could still hear her, do you know? And it was a long while there now that I could still hear the screaming, and the crying, and the bemoaning. And by God there now, when it was all over there, my feet were released from the place where I was standing there, and into the house I went, and I sat myself down in the tufted chair. Now Nora looked at me and she could tell I was in great distress, and she didn't say much, only to hand me over the cup of tea. And I sat there now and I spoke not a word of it. 'Twas a fortnight later, and the postman come. And he dropped a letter off at the house, and I opened up the letter there, and it was from your Aunt Mary Mills in Cleveland, Ohio. And it was a letter there now, do you know? to inform me that your grandfather, my brother, Philip Lenahan, had passed away in Cleveland. And I looked at the date that he died, and I thought back there, no, it was the very same day that I saw the old woman. And that's how I come to know that I had met the Banshee. Ah, be God, no, I wouldn't wish that again on anyone.